Sounds like something you would love to do.
Yeah,
His wheels are turning.
I'd have to sit up though, because I would fall asleep.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, because in meditation,
It's easy.
You know,
yeah.
I just drift off.
Yeah, it's very
before
easy.
the magic happens.
But you know, I find that doing it one-on-one that way, there was one person who said she wasn't sure she could do it. Her mind tended to go all kinds of places. But the fact that we were talking to each other, I think, helped to keep her anchored in there, you know, instead of if she was just left to go on her own little journey. So it's like, what do you, and then she answered. So she it kept her on track.
I would definitely need that.
Yeah.
Don't leave me unattended. Could be trouble.
Right.
I'd be snoring.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're awakened?
No. I don't think I'm awakened. I think I'm awakening. I think we all are. And I still have growth to do. I still have ways to evolve, and hopefully in this lifetime, if not next lifetime or the time after. I don't see myself as finished, that this would be my last lifetime in a way. You know, I don't really see myself that way. Brian Weiss had a funny thing. He said, people usually say with great pride, well, you know, I'm an old soul. And he said, since he looks at life as a school for us here to come back as many times as we need until we learn to be better people and be more kind and loving and less violent. He says, if you say that you're an old soul, maybe you're just a really slow learner, you know?
Right. Right.
I never really thought about it that way.
I think we're in our infancy here, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're just beginning to
we just are.
Put some of the pieces of the puzzle together, you know, a small few. That's why we need these people that do have high energy, you know, come to the planet, who are certainly more advanced, to shine their light.
Exactly.
I mean, we all have a light to shine.
We do.
You know, in our own little way, and
the beautiful
we're
thing,
aware of it.
The beautiful thing with light is that if you share your own light, it doesn't diminish your light. It's kind of like having a candle, right? And you can light other people's candles. Doesn't affect yours.
Right.
So.
Right.
So that's our job here. We're trying to light candles, people.
Right.
We are.
Trying to light your candle.
And the reason I asked about the awakening, because I see it very differently, because, you know, I look through a different lens than most people.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more of, you know, you think about Earth, right? And then there's the cloud cover. So the people that really aren't awakened or awakening, they keep their head right below the clouds.
Oh, okay.
But the people that are awakened are aware that, you know, your intuition is what should guide you, and that there's, you know, that you're in touch with things beyond the clouds.
Yeah, that way,
universe,
I think I just
light.
came in that way. I don't think I worked my way to excel in this lifetime. I think I just came in with that.
So you're one of the awakened.
Oh, according to your way.
I think you are. I mean,
you've heard it live here today.
Yeah, she is.
On Facebook.
She is, and it's not. And it's not. I mean, you can talk to, you know, anybody, and you know, some people just look at you like you have 5 heads. They don't get it.
No.
And that's not their fault.
No,
they're just not as evolved in this process as other people are.
Right.
You know, and it's just identifying that, because light is attracted to light.
Yes.
It really is.
Absolutely.
And when you surround yourself with people that are, you know, bogged down with work and just, you know, negativity, it's like you want to push them away almost.
Yeah.
You know.
Although I would say there's been in my life this thing like aiming to find the light in the darkness in some way. I don't know where that came from exactly, but that is, and even in my artwork, and some of them, it shows the light in the darkness, you know.
Right, because you get it.
Yeah.
You know, you get it. Oh, he's got another one up on the
screen.
screen.
Yeah. That one, The Divine Matrix, I kind of stole the title of a book that I like by Greg Braden. He wrote a really cool book called The Divine Matrix, but I called this one The Divine Matrix too. And it's basically just to show how everything is connected and how everything is, you know, in relationship to other beings, creatures in nature. And in Sweden I often felt that connection most vividly in nature, I would say. You know, the fact that we're all part of something greater. I remember I was brought up in a very religious family, and you know, going to church and hearing about things there. And then I went to a music camp when I was maybe around 10, and it was an ecumenical music camp, and different churches could hold services each evening. And one time it was like the fire and brimstone people were on. And oh my God, that did not sit right with me. It upset me so much. I was like, they're scaring these people to go. Like, what is wrong with this? This is so not right. I was terribly upset. And I could see how my little buddies got so scared that they went up there to be saved because they didn't want to burn in hell or something. And I was like, this is so not the way. This is so not the way. I was so upset. I mean, a strange little kid. Most 10-year-olds wouldn't give a crap about that.
Wouldn't be that awakened, right?
But it really bothered me. But I remember going home and saying to my mom, like, they say you have to believe that Jesus Christ is the only Son of God, or you will go to hell. How am I supposed to know that? I'm only 10 years old. How am I supposed to know he's the only Son? Like, I said that there's a God. Go out in the woods. We'll look around. Of course there is something higher. No question.
Sure.
But that, you know, that I have to believe this, and that he died and bled on the cross for my sins, that none of that really resonated with me at all. Now I can have a different take on it. I've kind of done my explorations with different traditions and been able to come back this way, kind of, and from different voices. And I look at the Christ figure totally different than I did now. And you know, I can see what the fundamental meaning of it was before, but you know, it's been translated so many times in so many languages, and taken parts have been taken out, and
very much there.
So it's not necessarily the pure thing, but I think that's true for many organized religions, that the initial thing was really sacred, and then sometimes organizing it and
got muted a bit.
Yeah, it can do that. I heard a story once. Somebody said God and the devil was walking down the street, and God saw something on the road that shimmered and said, "Ah, truth." And the devil said, "Ooh, let's organize it."
Right.
That's funny.
Right, let's organize it and let's tamper with it, right?
Yeah.
So when you go out into nature, there's the purest form, right?
Yeah.
So it's not we meddle in it and tamper with it and organize it in such a fashion where we can utilize it to perhaps control people and steer them in a particular direction that we would like them, and instill fear.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
You know.
And I have a thing for trees. I don't know if I was a druid or something in a past life, but I do have a thing for trees. One person even asked me when I posted some of my artwork on Facebook, and they said, "Do you ever do anything that doesn't have trees in it?" And I was like, well, yeah, sometimes. I guess I do. But I do like trees. And when I went through my mood swingy things in my teenage years, with the hormones starting to shoot, and it was like ups and downs and all that, I found that walking out in the woods and standing with my back against a tree and just feeling that energy of the tree, that really helped to align me and ground me in some way. So.
Wow. Well, and they call them here in the United States tree huggers, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you have to have a derogatory,
yes.
Because they don't understand how that, some people don't understand how the energy works.
Right.
And I think that part of what we're doing is teach people that about energy and how to utilize it in your life and and believe it and trust it.
Yeah.
Because trust is, there's so much fear in the world.
Absolutely. And this year more than ever.
Yes.
This past year, and this past year I had a lot of losses myself, so I had a lot of grief going on, and but I could feel the fear of people, and I was like, we got to raise the vibration here somehow. This is not good for us. No. Fear, and you know this much more than I do, but it just feels like fear is a very low vibration. Would you say?
It is a very low.
Yeah.
But it's not something that man just decided to create by himself. So this is fostered here.
Yeah.
And it's put out there, and when people get too comfortable, it's almost like the powers that be, the negative powers that be, say, oh, it's fine to put something else out there because we're not controlling them enough.
Because if you're fearful, you're much easier to control too, right?
Sure.
So I thought, okay, how can we do this? And then I had to take it home inside again, and so how do I raise my own vibration then? Because yes, I grieved and I let myself cry pretty much every day for a few months, but not all day long, life goes on, right? So I thought, well, the first few months of it, I couldn't work, so I was sitting a lot more. It's not good for me, I could feel that. So I thought, I need to dance. So I started dancing, and then I thought, maybe this would give somebody something. So I did some silly dance and put it on a little video and put it up. And, I think what people liked about it was that it's clear. I'm not a dancer. I'm not a trained dancer. It was not a performance. It was me just having fun and being silly and letting loose, with a smile on my face. And that's energy, right? So that people, and I encouraged people to dance with me because a lot of people were sitting,
Yes.
And where exactly can people find that?
Yeah.
So that if they feel they need to dance with you, that they can find that. So where is that?
It's on Facebook. It's on my Facebook page on the videos there. But
and your Facebook page is?
Well, I have a few, but my main one is just my name, Kerstin Zettmar. So you can find me there.
Kerstin. So again, that's the translation, right? That's the original pronunciation back in Sweden. Right. And so there is one painting that you have over your left shoulder.
Yeah.
Your favorite.
That does not have a tree in it.
It doesn't have a tree. That's right.
And so could you explain that and share, again, what was the impetus for creating that?
Yeah. Well, I call it holding space. So that's kind of a play on words too, like hands holding outer space here, and this is the Earth, of course, and some other nebulous and whatever. But it's also, I don't think of God as a person with hands now, necessarily, but I wanted to show that something larger is holding all of it together too. And when I work with clients, bodywork clients or past life clients, or I feel like I'm holding space for them to discover things within themselves. So
it's symbolic.
So it's symbolic, yeah.
That's really beautiful.
That's absolutely stunning. And so, so how long did that piece take you to do?
Actually, the painting was a little bit smaller than this one. It was maybe half the size. It was originally an acrylic painting, and I think I did it in a day. It just came through.
Wow.
It just wanted to be there. I didn't know that it was going to be hands there when I started. I was fascinated by outer space, and there's something about outer space and underwater that I think there's this fluidity, I don't know, it's something there. So I started doing that, and then out of that, some hand kind of started to come in there. So I just went with it. And the original I sold to a woman from Spain. I had a show in England, and the woman from Spain came in, and that's mine.
Wow, that's incredible.
Well, I'm glad you made copies of it.
Yeah. I'm glad I got a good photo. There's been times I've forgotten to take photos, and I was like, oh, I should have taken a photo before I let it go. But
and how about the one over my right shoulder?
That one, yes, that one, Mystic Union, again, my attempt to show that everything is connected. And I tend to like to have hidden images within the image. So if you see there's a woman's face, there's a baby on her breast there's like a little fox behind them, there's a horse's head in the rocks and an angel, and there's an old couple. And so I like to make images where you see something at first, and then you look and you look again and you see more, because I think that's how we should look at everything, really. You look at first and you think you know it all, but you don't.
Not even close.
The three, right? 3 times.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Wow,
So
that's really beautiful.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay.
And so, but the paintings are just really a small component of other things that you do, and you also do yoga.
Yeah, I do yoga, and yoga helps me because when I do artwork, I sit a lot, and I lose track of time, like I said. So I can sit cross-legged on the floor, because I always end up on the floor. It doesn't matter how many fancy easels I buy, sooner or later I end up on the floor. And I think it's my need for grounding, maybe, because you said, you talked about the cloud there and people being above. I think I was hanging out there a little too much. I needed to learn how to honor this too, and the body, because when I do artwork, I don't feel my body. I don't feel what I need, what my body needs. I don't feel if I'm hungry. If I need to go to the bathroom, finally, after sitting cross-legged for 4 or 5 hours, I hobble. I'm like, ow, I didn't even feel like I was getting stiff. So yoga helps to balance that for me, and it's great because it opens all the energy lines of your body. It helps you breathe better, and many times when there's been stressful things in life, going to yoga class, it doesn't alter what's going on in your life, but you always feel better. It's like hitting a reset button in a way. So many people come to yoga to get, I don't know, cute butt or something, like for the physical. They stay for the emotional, mental effects of it, I think.
Right, those endorphins.
Yeah.
Sure, it's like their meditation, perhaps.
Yeah, it's meditation in motion, you could say, For many people, it's really hard to sit still without zoning off or falling asleep, or it's uncomfortable. And the yoga postures were actually invented to be something you did before meditating. For many, many thousands of years, yoga was only sitting cross-legged and turning your gaze inwards, and that was it. And then the postures were so that you could have a stronger back, so your hips would be more open, so you could sit like that without suffering. So it wouldn't be like, ow, ow, my back, ow, ow, my neck, Well,
that would be me.
So, yeah, and it does do that because before I started doing yoga in my 30s, sitting and meditating, I would get a very tired back. But now I can sit for a long time without feeling any pain, so it does do that.
Isn't there a monk? Isn't there a clan of monks that can do that with the no pain? Sit there in that position in the rain and the cold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be me.
And they don't feel any pain.
They don't feel it. No, they don't feel it. And I heard one time, I think it was in Shirley MacLaine's book, maybe a long time ago.
Oh, geez, yes.
Out on a limb. Remember that?
Yes.
I think I read that in the 80s, and she was talking about monks that would just sit in the cold with sheets, wet sheets over them.
Yes.
And they would dry them, right?
They would dry them by feeling their own warmth and radiating that out.
That's fascinating.
So yoga, many people think of yoga mostly as physical, but it covers all of it, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, because, you know, it does help to get you in alignment in a way.
Right.
Yeah, and so, you know, look, I want to give a shout out to Drew, because he's the behind the scenes guy who's been running in and out of the studio, changing a lot of these paintings.
Yes.
And we have the last one. He just came in and put this last one up. Now this one in particular is really the one with the yarn and the texture one. So you know, talk a little bit about that, because that's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I like to use textures, and I started doing this when I was, I guess, 15 or 16. I started doing this. When I was 11, my mom took me and my brother to Spain, and we went into an art gallery, and there I saw a fiber arts piece. It was quite abstract, and looks nothing like what I'm doing, but I kind of stood arrested in front of it, and it was just like something about it. And it was a piece of blanket that somebody had stitched on and stained and cut or something. I think it was about a war or something. But somehow that stayed with me. So when I was 15, I still remembered it. And I asked my parents if I could borrow, if they had an old blanket I could borrow in the basement. And so I started doing what I remembered, like stitching, painting, cutting, gluing, and then eventually the stitching kind of took over. So it became all stitching from there.
Yeah, and the camera, quite frankly, doesn't do it any justice to really provide the detail to the texture of the fabrics that you have there.
Yeah. No, it's hard to capture in photos, it really is, but I think of them in the same way as when I paint, because it's, instead of a brush stroke, I do a stitch, but otherwise the process is the same. I don't know everything, where everything is going to go when I start, you know, I let it happen as I go.
It's really beautiful.
So does a stitch in time save 9? Is that the same or not? I'm not sure about that. That'll be
9
for another
lives?
episode.
Yes.
Right.
Right? Because we're running out of time.
We
and,
are.
Yeah.
You know, this has been an amazing show with an amazing guest who decided to come here and bless us with her presence. And we'll have her back, because, again, we just have begun to touch the surface of a lot of the stuff that you do.
Yeah.
So we're very grateful for your presence here today.
Thank you. I'm very honored to have been invited.
Yeah, we'll invite you back for sure.
Yeah, we need to have you back, like many of the other guests. The time goes by so quick.
Yes.
You know.
So.
And so if someone wants to get a hold of you for any of your services, where can they find you again?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, like I said, Kerstin Zettmar, Kerstin Zettmar. And I have a website, which is the business name of mine is Mira Holistic Services. So miraholisticservices.com.
It's M-I-R-A.
Yeah, Mira.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there you have it.
Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. And just remember, next week we're going to talk about, we don't have a guest planned next week, so we're going to talk about awakening and what that means to you. And we'd love to have your feedback. If you have questions, please send them into our Facebook page, Awakened Soul Stories, and then we'll answer some of the questions the best way that we can. So thank you.
Okay, that's a wrap. We're going to freestyle next week on Facebook.
Excellent.
Freestyle.